Yes, we are going to be creating some heavenly chord progressions that sound like heaven. By the way, if you're not religious, just play along, okay? Now, I have done a lesson before called creating dreamy chord progressions. This is a little bit different in that I think dreamy chord progressions can have a sense of unease with that Lydian sharp 4 note. In heavenly chord progressions, because I make the rules, right? In heavenly chord progressions, I don't think there is any element of discomfort or ominousness that exists. So that means relying on a different kind of interval that is actually my favorite interval to include in various chord voicings. And that interval is the 9th. So if you're familiar with basic music theory, which you can find out all about in my course Guitar Super System, which is linked down in the description, you'll know that if we have a root note here, we'll just say G, that we have root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, back to the root. So after we cross this octave, we start to get into extensions, and the most common extensions, or really the only extensions, are 9, 11, and 13. And there are variations on those extensions, such as flat 9, sharp 11, flat 13, sharp 13. So if you've heard of that before, that's where that comes from, and these intervals exist beyond the first octave of whatever your root note is. So that's not a 9, that's a 2nd, but that is a 9 from the G. So a very common example to help you understand that concept, the Jimi Hendrix chord, have you heard of that? We have a sharp 9, it's a sharp 9 chord. So we have our E as our root note, and we have to find the 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here's our root, there's our 9. And it's a sharp 9, so that means we're going to push it up even one more half step. So that's where the voicings come from when you hear 9 or 13, 11, etc., etc. Again, all that information is available in my course, Guitar Super System, linked down below. So what about these heavenly chord progressions? What about the 9 makes it so heavenly and nice sounding? I'm going to put it here this time. So before and after. So I think that's pretty nice. You can get a really heavenly effect by adding 9s to your chords, but that's only the beginning. We have to add a couple more nuances to really achieve this effect. Speaking of effects, in case any of you guys are interested in the effects I'm running, I've got a compressor from Moore, the yellow comp. I've got a Seafoam chorus from Keeley and the Nemesis delay from Source Audio. I think those are the premier effects for achieving this sound. Of course, delay. You can also substitute reverb, but I like the kind of accentuation of how it kind of fades out like that, that tape delay sound where it's kind of like wonky and wavery. I really like that. Add the chorus in with that and a little bit of compression so it really sustains. I think that's really nice. Even those little finger slides. Sounds really cool as a bridge between chords. So, now that we've covered the effects and the voicing styles that you're going to go after, the tonality that I'm in is kind of ambiguous, but I consider it like a pentatonic sound. So these chords that I'm choosing, it's right in that sweet spot of the pentatonic scale. These are all major chords. Again, not really adhering to the major scale diatonic chords. I'm kind of just choosing what sounds good and heavenly to my ear. So these are all major chords with added ninths. What you do to construct that, in case you haven't noticed, obviously, take a bar chord. You can add a 9 by moving your pinky up and throwing in those open strings for even more of a heavenly effect. The effect that it's having on this F sharp with this open B, that's a sus4, so that's a fourth interval. In this case, what would that be? Can you guess? 11th, yes. So this is an F sharp 9-11 chord. And then we move up here with the A, keeping those 2 bottom strings open. This is an A9 chord. We are doubling the B, which is the 9. Then we can take this B chord. So there's the root again. We have this E, which is a sus4. So really the 9th interval or the 4th interval, actually it's an 11th, tricked myself there. So the 9th is where I started, but if you can access the 4th or the 11th interval, that's also going to sound really nice. Just that suspended. It's like, you know, heaven suspended in midair. So another important element of this heavenly guitar playing is the articulation and delivery of these chords, the accents of certain notes, and the overall vibe that you convey rhythmically. So let's take a shape here. As you can see, I'm adhering to my formula of including a 9th. So we've got our root B, and instead of a major 3rd, I'm dropping this down to a 2nd. So it's already got that heavenly sound. Again, the 2nd and 9th intervals, the only difference there is that this 2nd is still within this 1st octave. And then below this, we've got a 5th, and then we've got our root again. And then on top of this, I have my 4th in the bass. Very heavenly. So now let's talk about how we can get from one chord to the next. I'll play something and then I'll break down what I'm doing. So as you can see, I am really trying to be as floaty and angelic as possible. So I'll take this chord and use little pick accents. Doesn't matter what note you hit because this chord sounds amazing. Now, that's where the delay comes in, where I slide away and that delay has that effect. So that little move there where I play a chord, really trying to be cinematic with each note and each change of the chord. So I am accenting certain notes of this chord shape and ensuring that I don't hit any notes that aren't going to make this change as effective as possible. So if I played something like this, it's not quite as effective, it doesn't quite do this chord change justice as if I play this. You can really hear that harmony shift. So making sure to hit the meat of each chord as you shift. That's going to be the ticket to sound quite heavenly. So to sum this whole guitar style up, we talked about using intervals to really command this tonality, markedly the 9th intervals and perhaps an 11, and understanding how those intervals impact the chord. Of course, I was using all major chords. If you did want to take this outside of the heavenly context, then you could make these bar chords minor. can still add that 9. But it doesn't sound very heavenly. So 9th and 11th intervals, very important. And then the actual guitar effects. If you want to delve into this world, then you would certainly want to have some kind of modulation, such as a chorus pedal, as well as a delay pedal that will really make it sound like your guitar is floating you into the clouds. And once you have those 2 ingredients down, it's all about delivery. It's about choosing certain notes of the chords to accent, whether that means plucking them or using your fingers and a pick, and moving flowingly like an angel's wing along the fretboard, and really just feeling the music. I know it's kind of ambiguous to say, you just gotta feel the music, you can't play it, but I really think this style of guitar in particular is really easy to feel because it just sounds so good. So I hope this was a helpful little tip for you if you're looking to kind of get out of your comfort zone or just relax. Then try some heavenly guitar playing and I'm sure you'll come up with something cool. Until next time, guys, keep shredding.